the Community Consolidated Schools District 168 Board meeting.
Regular public hearing.
Regular public hearing will commence. At first, I would like to have a moment of silence for Thaddeus Wojnarowska. He was a custodian at one of our schools, and he passed away recently. So if you could give us 10 seconds, please. Thank you. First, we would like to open our session by doing a roll call.
Mr. Casale? Mrs. Taylor?
Present.
Mrs. Davenport?
Present.
Mrs. Green? Ms. Howard? Present. Mrs. Jones?
Present.
Mr. Bazell?
Present.
This is resume. We have a special guest to help lead us in our pledge today. Where is Mr. Jimmy how do you pronounce that? McDonald?
McDonald.
I did it, yes. Can we have you come on up? And I'll share a little bit about you. You're going to stand right here by our table. And we all know Mr. Little Jimmy's name, Big Jimmy now. I am in 5th grade at Strasburg School. I have been in the district since I was in pre-kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Rail. Kindergarten teacher was Mrs. Ayers. 1st grade teacher was also Mrs. Ayers, okay? 2nd grade teacher was Mrs. Jackson. 3rd grade teacher was Miss Ali. 4th grade teacher was Miss Montemere. And 5th grade teacher is Mr. Rail. You're in Layla's class. Sorry, he's in my daughter's class. I have 2 siblings. My little sister, Santrina, is 18 months old, and my brother, Jameer, is 5 years old. Let's wave. There he is. His teacher's name is Miss Cush and Miss Itzy. One of my favorite subjects this year is math. I like math because I am able to use the skills that I learned during school with my chores at home. I do this by keeping track of my finances and how many chores that I do weekly. I also use my skills in math when I ran the school store as the MOD, manager on duty. I did this by helping students count their money, and then I was able to tell them what supplies they were able to buy with their money. I am also very proud of my talents that I displayed during the Black History program. I was one of the dancers during the song Thriller by Michael Jackson. One thing that I am very proud of is achieving straight A's on my report card. The lowest grade that I got on my report card was in 3rd grade when I received a B in language arts. My family is still proud of me, and I have never gotten another B since then. Very good, Jimmy. He has a little bit more. Jimmy's going a long way. When I grow up, I would like to be an engineer because I like creating and building things. I can also use my math skills in this career. I would like to help the world with all the pollution and all other world affairs. Lastly, I have been working on drawing pictures of a solar panel robot that saves power, energy, and money. Thank you for allowing me to share my biography with you, and I will enjoy reading the pledge with you tonight.
Everybody stand, please.
We'll follow your lead, Jimmy.
Phase 5, and Jimmy, ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Take pictures, man. Family going up too?
Come on up, family. If someone can take
You
the
can give
camera
Lenore
for
the camera
Dad.
for you and she'll take it.
We met at people like, yeah, come on, Dad. Right, just like we met at the party. Okay. Nice to meet you.
I'm Dr. Sharon, superintendent.
Okay, let's take a picture, and I'm gonna read to you what this is. And then we're gonna read what I'm presenting. Well, you want me to present first? I have to present
Where's
first.
the, where's the certificate?
Okay. Okay, Jimmy, this is what we're gonna do, so you get a picture. Can I have your hand, please? This certificate of appreciation and recognition of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance before the Community Consolidated School District 168 is presented to you, Jimmy McThorne. Thank you. April 18, 2016.
Congratulations.
Good job. Good job, Jimmy. All right. Yay. Yes. All right. Can you say a clap for Jimmy, what's your little brother's name? Jimmy. Jameer. Oh, Jameer. All right.
Some people call me Jojo.
JoJo? Okay. What do they call your little sister?
Oh, he's gonna have this is probably the next one.
Everybody JoJo. Nice job.
He actually knows it already.
You did it, you can shake it again, I love it. All right.
It's like creative stuff. Well, like mechanics mostly.
Jimmy, they want a picture. They want Miss Tunstall and your dad would like a picture.
Oh,
course, they're
Tunstall,
ready.
open up his certificate so you can see it.
Have it open. There you go.
There you go.
Look to make sure they turn out, because I'm not real good for time.
Thank you. JoJo, wanna go?
And I think Jimmy's gonna be a
Alright, so item number 4.
All right, y'all have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right,
We appreciate y'all inviting to the small one. All right, y'all take care.
Alright, the next agenda item for the Board of Education is a public hearing to receive comments on the proposal to sell $9 million of general obligation bonds, alternate bonds, for the district. I would like to open this discussion. The reason for the proposal issuance is to improve the sites of an altering, repairing, and equipping the school buildings and facilities. At this time, I would like to open comments from members of the Board of Education. Mr. Casale?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bazil. I noticed that when Jimo Casale is not here, a lot of things get done, which the board and the superintendent know I'm not going to be approving of. $9 million is a lot of money, and I just got a notice also that we can extend that to the next 25 years to pay it back. I think we have a lot of surplus. to make it very clear, I am for improvement of the schools. I have 4 children in the school district, and prior to that, my oldest daughter went through the school district, and now she's almost done with her master's. So I am for improvement. But the $9 million, tonight, the treasurer, because I wasn't here last month, I was told that the treasurer is going to be here this month to answer some questions. I don't know why he's not here. With the amount of money that we pay him, I think he's supposed to be here. Because when your boss asks you to be somewhere and you're not there, I think you're looking to be fired. I think they've been here more than 25 years doing this. So I think that we can use from the fund balance that we have. It's over $10 million. And also this $9 million that's been talked about, I haven't seen any cost analysis as to how much we really need. We cannot just go and have people issue bond for $9 million. All the things that needs to be done. We did extension to all 3 schools. It didn't cost no $9 million. So this, I think, in the absence of the state budget, I think this should be put on hold. And if the board, the majority of the board decide to move forward along with the suggestion of the superintendent, without a doubt, I know I'm not voting for it, but I will make sure that the people of the village know about this. I was expecting a large crowd, but it doesn't look like they are aware of what's going on. So that's my take on that. I am not in support of getting a bond. If the money is there, why are we not using that? Why do we have to go get a bond? So as far as I'm concerned, in my own opinion, with my own experience, the money is not there. Let the treasurer come here and explain where is our money.
Stewart?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was here and I witnessed and have a really clear understanding of the bond that is being proposed. And I honestly believe that after we hear a report from the superintendent capsulizing some of the items that we talked about at the last couple of board meetings, I think people will have a clear understanding of what we're proposing to do with those funds. They will have a clear understanding that even though we are eligible for the $9 million, we will only use to the extent that our projects will, cost. And I think that it's a wonderful opportunity that's going to give us an opportunity, and I'm very redundant, it will give us a wonderful opportunity to look at our buildings and bringing them up to code. We have some serious safety issues in some of our buildings that I'm hoping to rectify with this bond. And I think overall, it's a wonderful opportunity that not very many school districts have been able to utilize. So I am definitely for it.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. President. So tonight, this is just a hearing for the public. This is not, we're getting ready to spend $9 million. We're going to do strategic planning before we do this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With that being said, I do have, and I don't know if anybody else, but I have one concern that I would like. I know we have a bucket wish list. I have one other thing that I would like to see added. And it came to my attention because preferred meals is on our sheet for renewal. And I have not been happy with preferred meals for quite some time. My heart's desire is to see our children serve a hot lunch that has been cooked and prepared for them and not put into a oven and microwave or whatever those contraptions are. So if possible, if we're gonna do this 9 million thing, I would like to see a kitchen at least one of our buildings where food could be prepared and catered to the rest of the buildings. That's just my thought and my opinion.
So kitchen for prepared food for the rest of the buildings?
Yes.
Ms. Davenport?
That's actually on the list. I've been trying about it for quite a few months. One of my concerns is, and I'm really in support of what Ms. Jones said, is that while we have our priority list, I know the last time I mentioned the kitchen, it was, I was told that we need to deal with the water quality. But even in quality first, but even in looking at our priority, I just still feel like, especially with the contract and bidding coming up for our meals, that it still should make the priority list. At the same time, I know we have 5 top priorities: the remodeling of Rickover Junior High School, the new playgrounds, Wagner Strasburg, the floor replacement, asbestos, the outdoor track at Rickover, water quality, and I really wish the kitchen could be placed in that, so that's one of the things in that priority, even though I know that there are other things that are on our list that we would like to do for our district that are going to get done. They're just not in the high priority, and I just really think that it's time now for that high priority. In that, to add that, I think we should have 6 priorities. Secondly, my only other concern is because we do operate in a deficit every year and we have to tap into our fund balance already, my concern is how much we have to tap into the fund balance when we make that, I think it was 480,000 or something like that. I can't remember what the payment would be. Making sure that we would be able to handle that payment operating in a deficit even though we have a fund balance. I am not in favor of depleting our fund balance to do these items because we don't know what's going to happen with TRS up the road, and so we do need some money to hold on to, at least a 6 to 9 month reserve to be able to continue to pay our staff and be able to open our schools in August. I was at one of our dinner meetings for the school board, and that was one of the things that they just mentioned with IASB. There are a lot of schools that won't be able to open if the government, Springfield, doesn't pass that budget. And we don't want to find ourselves spending up all of our fund balance to get stuff done and not be able to open our schools. That would be a detriment to our staff, their livelihood, their families, and to our children. So I know I don't want to go into that. So those are my major concerns outside of wanting to know, making sure that our public, which it would have been nice if we had more people here today to hear. I know he has a video, maybe you can put it out there, I don't know, to really hear what our community thinks, that they understand what the process is and how it works. And I know a lot of people also work and couldn't be here tonight, but it would be, I really do like hearing from our community and where they stand. That's all, thank you.
One thing I'd like to say, just to give the general public a small view as to what is going on. We appropriated the interest-free bond issuance from the federal government. Not that it's interest-free completely, but they pay a vast majority of the interest that we would be paying on the particular bond. So the $9 million is relatively interest-free with minimal interest that we would have to pay on those particular bonds. The bonds that we would only use, we would be able to borrow $9 million, however, we don't have to use the entire $9 million. We only use what is needed for the particular projects we used to engage in. Then we would return those monies, the extra monies that we don't have. One of the big things I would like to applaud the board for is that they were very fiscally responsible, which is why we have a surplus, which is unlike many of our neighbors. We aren't in the situation that they're in. However, we are running in a negative, and we do borrow from the fund balance on a continual basis. We don't know what the future holds for the general public or the public schools at large, so it wouldn't be fiscally responsible for us to take on $9 million away from our fund balance, which would help in paying any emergencies we might have, any shortfalls that we might have in the future, because Illinois is not one of the most fiscally responsible states. So that's one of the things that we wouldn't use the $9 million for. As far as the projects are concerned, there are projects that are needed. Those are not the only projects that we have, although we have the top 5 priorities. Those priorities can change. We can, mix and match depending on what we need. The reason that we want to start these projects right away is because we do have a new government, and right now we have a presidential election. The interest-free bond payments that we're having is being paid by the federal government. So right now is a good time, while we still have the current government in place, to use those bonds and have those in effect. We don't know what the next president will do, if they'll take that away from us, and then we'll have to pay interest monies on those. So I think it's very wise of us to engage in the projects that we have that are highly important to us right away, so we can use those monies and interest-free while we have the benefits of what the federal government has given us. However, we don't know what the future holds, so use it or you might lose it type situation. So that's just a short view as to what happened. We do have 5 priorities. You can look those up. ESG had given us a list of what they propose to do for us and how they're proposing to do it for us, which was great for them. However, I am in favor of actually using these the sale of these bonds to engage in those endeavors. So after that, if there are any more comments from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Wazir, I just would like to add a clarification for the record. I am not saying I'm against having improvement in the schools. With somebody that have 4 kids in the schools, I am saying that we need to know where our money is. Because according to Dr. Lee, the treasurer is in favor of Sauk Village borrowing $9 million when the fund balance is there that we can use some of it. In the past, before you guys get on the board, the state has used this fund balance against us for giving us some grant. If you can remember, I can't remember exactly what that was, because we have all this money there. So we need to know from the treasurer, is the money there? We want to see our money. We should use that money to do some of these projects. And not everything needs to be done now. Nobody knows when tomorrow is going to be, what's going to happen. I have somebody that came to my office a few months ago to do a profile on me. And he's been going in and out of the hospital. His wife is not sick. I called him a few days ago, and the wife is dead. Do we know tomorrow? There's a lot of people that left this money and didn't go back home. So we cannot keep saying, oh, this fund balance. You cannot use the fund balance to balance your budget. You cannot keep digging in there. How about the people that doesn't have no fund balance? That is one of the things that the job of the superintendent to make sure that we have a balanced budget. That is not what that money is there for. If people remember the history of how that money get there, it is not because people are getting overpaid. It is because during the previous administration of Ryan, he wasn't paying the teachers due salary they're supposed to get. That is how that money get there. I don't want to go into the history of that, but there's some things that people have to know. It's not Jim Okasali saying, oh, I don't want it, I don't want improvement. No, yes, I do. But there's other money that we can use. The money is just sitting there in the bank. How much is the interest rate in the bank now? Less than 8%. So the treasurer needs to come here, as promised by the superintendent that he's going to be here in April, And he's not, where is he now? They said he's going to be here March and April, because I wasn't going to be here in March. We can go back to the record. That is what was said. And here today is not. I've been here more than 8 years. I'm the senior member of this board. And a member, as a master badge member as well, because I've done so many training. This man has taken us for granted in this district, no respect. I can prove it to you. So he needs to come. Explain to the people of Sauk Village, this has to be done again. Maybe next month or something.
Okay. All right, at this time, there are no more comments. I would like to hear public comments concerning the proposed issuance of the bonds. Please ask that you make your comments 3 minutes, and please announce your name prior to speaking.
I'm Judy Cast. I don't have any kids in this school district. They're grown and gone, but I do pay taxes. And this was not publicized enough. I heard about it this afternoon, and that's why I'm here now. And I'm concerned. I hear what you're saying, and I agree in part. But then the other part is, how did you come up with $9 million? Why wasn't it 4 or 10 or 6? What is the money going to be used for? Have we done anything to say fixing Strasburg is going to cost X amount of dollars? Fixing this school is going to be X amount of dollars. Add it all together and we come up to 9 or close to 9. You're borrowing a huge sum of money that could kick us in the ass. We don't know. We don't know enough to say we agree with you. And you said $9 million interest-free through the federal government. Your next words were minimal interest. Is it interest fee or is it a minimal interest? That's it.
Thank you.
You're not going to address the questions? Is anyone?
Well, it might be helpful to at least speak to what happened last month when ESG made the presentation that brought us to the $9 million, because people who aren't here, and we've got the renderings up, so people can see that that number didn't just
Yeah, the
come out of
numbers,
the air.
with the $9 million, it's not that we're going to use all $9 million. Okay, that's just what's allowed to be borrowed. We were part of a special lottery, and we were one of the districts that was allowed to borrow that certain amount of money because of our situation, our financial situation, as far as we're kind of like the bottom of the state as far as fiscal reserves or monies that we get from the state. So we were allotted this amount of money because of the projects that we had. We were very proactive in declaring these are the things that are needed for the school district. And so they gave us that much money to do our projects. We do not have to use $9 million. That number was not a number that we determined. That was a number that was determined by the state to be allotted to all of us. Okay? I will give the superintendent a little moment to speak on
So last month, actually, Mrs. Davenport was speaking to the wish list that the board came up with, and that was done at a visioning meeting and a workshop last December. So last December started this whole conversation about what do we need our buildings to look like. So over the months after December, the board engaged in what's called a performance contract. We're looking for a company that could actually help pull together all their priorities, put them together, and put dollar figures to them so they'd have some idea of what would it cost for us to get new playgrounds, or get the asbestos removed from Strasburg, or to get the track repaired, like we've got the track pieces right now that we're looking at. What would it cost for us to do all the various things that we'd like to do? And so subsequently, the board approved a performance contract agreement with a company called ESG. There's no cost to that. All that says is that if we have the opportunity to do the projects, then this would be the company that we'd work with to find the contractors, to do the work, to do the work with the architect, to work with whoever they work with to make those things happen. So then what happened was in November, the federal government said, we are going to add, if you remember the ARA dollars, when the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, how they gave out those dollars. So this is a part of that program. And what they did is they said we would issue what's called qualified school construction bonds to school districts where you get the money to do the capital improvements you need to do, and the federal government will pay the interest to the bank. Because ultimately the bank has to get their interest. It's just that, and so what's happening right now is, the reason that there's that sum or there's a question is that we don't know what the full interest payment might be, and when Mr. Grossi, or Dr. Grossi was here last month, he was speaking to it, but until we actually get into that process, we don't know. But what we do know is that we would have, originally it was 20 years, now it's 25 years potentially, to pay that principal back. So here's what it looks like. It's like if I went to the bank and I had $150,000 to purchase a house, and the bank said the house is $100,000. I could either pay cash, or the bank says, you know what, we'll give you the $100,000, you don't pay us any interest, and pay us back over the next 20 years. So now I still have my $150,000 to do repairs, to do updates, whatever I need to do, and I'm paying the bank maybe $10,000 a year instead of depleting my $150,000. Well, so what happened is, when our district put in for the possibility to get this particular bond issuance, there were 193 districts across the state that applied for it. 29 were selected to actually be recipients of this particular bond issuance. So now what has occurred is, once we were accepted, then we already had, because the board had already talked about what they wanted, we already had priority projects. So then our company ESG, and they actually did a presentation last month, that's where the renderings come from. They took the remodeling at Rickover, because we have our 6th grade wing that has to be remodeled. Right now it's not safe, there's issues with it. And that's what that top picture on the left-hand side is. That's the remodeling of the 6th grade wing on the left-hand side at Rickover. So that was one of the projects. Another project is at Rickover, we don't have a learning resource center. We don't have like a multimedia center where we have a place where kids can go and really access high quality technology. So that's what that picture underneath is, to redo the courtyard and actually build out a learning resource center for our children at Rickover. The next priority was playgrounds. We don't have playgrounds at Strasburg and Wagner for our kids to play on. So you see those renderings are pictures of playgrounds that they're talking about that we can actually put in playgrounds for our children. Then the third priority is the flooring replacement. The flooring replacement is a huge issue because we have asbestos underneath our carpet and underneath some of the tiles in the building. It needs to be, it's unhealthy. At Strasburg, every year we've got kids who are fine all summer, they come back to school and now their breathing issues flare up. I mean, it's a serious issue. It's a safety hazard for children. And that's not just at Strasburg. We said we need to do the flooring in all 3 of our buildings to ensure that we've got a healthy climate for our kids. The priority 4 was the outdoor track at Rickover, and that was what the board said we want to, because right now that track is not usable. I mean, it's just for running. You can't use it for track. I was out there with the architects. It's all the grading's wrong. I mean, it's actually not safe for the kids to be out there running, is what it boils down to. And then, of course, priority 5 was the water quality, which does impact the kitchen. So what they did last month is they actually went through and priced out so the board could see, and the board actually just got the updated one. I just sent the update because they've been working with the architects and contractors to come up with the solid pricing to say, this is what it would cost for you to do these items. Now, the kitchen isn't included in that price, so we gotta go back to them again, but our ceiling in terms of the bond issuance is this $9 million. And basically, this is because this money is specifically for these kinds of projects. That's all it's for. We can't make payroll with it. All we can do is actually repair, update, and fix our buildings and make sure that they're safe for kids. So that's how we got to the $9 million, there was actually a plan in place. Other districts that received the bond, they don't have any plans at all. So they're just out there just willy-nilly with millions of dollars that they can get, but they don't have a plan for it. We actually have a plan, and our group actually can start on, I think it's June the 8th, that they can actually start work depending on what happens with the board, so that by the time we even get to next school year, our children will already be reaping the benefits of what the buildings can look like. That's just, information for you. And what we can do, because they did do a PowerPoint at last month's meeting, we can post that PowerPoint on our website. That's easy enough to do. Because it shows pictures, it shows price amounts, so that the community, you'll be able to see it, you can take a look at it. If you have other questions, you can always call and ask. I want to be very transparent, because ultimately, the idea is to have these buildings be where our children are really feeling great about it and healthy. So. Well, I'm opposed. I know about that, about the website.
All right, any other questions from the audience?
Yes, my name is Francine Anderson, 1606 216th Street, and I am also a resident of Sauk Village. I came because two things. As Ms. Kazar said, just a taxpayer that's interested in what happens with our children and happening with our school district. I am perplexed as well about why there's not as many people here. I received this bridge in my mail last week. There's nothing here about this meeting today. You could have easily added on the back, so it went in every home. Every resident would have been well aware of what you were proposing today. So we missed a great opportunity to have them have the information ready and at hand. Secondly, I am greatly concerned about the issuing of bonds that citizens of this town is going to have to pay. Whether you get that or not, whether you get it and it comes through and you only use part of it, that bond is issued for citizens of Sauk Village to pay.
25 years.
And again, yes, and Mr. Casali just reminded me that you said 25 years to pay. At this point in this town, most of you sitting here are residents just as well as I am, and you know that we are losing residents. We have a percentage of our homes that are empty, that we are getting less tax base than we've had in a long time. You are talking about getting $9 million for, in the ultimate, the citizens of Sauk Village are going to be responsible for. I don't think that's fair. And to my proposal is that, to my understanding, during the last election, you had $15 million. And if you're not going to need the total $9 million, then to me, I don't see why you can't use some of that $15 million if it's still there. I don't know if it's been used or not. I just know what has been publicized. And to use your monies as collaterals for the bond instead of you issuing a public bond. But I understand you're getting federal money that we're only going to have to pay some interest with. But you're making the citizens pay money for interest when you got it. Something to me ain't balancing. Not at all. Our district have had the blessing because of Dr. Ryan. Yes, he has some troubles. Yes, he has some issues. But he left this school district very financially secure.
That's right.
For years.
Yep.
And yes, we want our children to have very good schools. We want them to have, and if there's asbestos there, I don't want you to wait to get your $9 million loan. I want you to spend some of the $15 million that you got so you can clear up the possible health hazard that asbestos is going to do for our children.
Right now.
So serious business is asbestos. And you have water quality on the table. What can you do about Sauk Village's water quality? Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm sorry. In my book, it's nothing that you can do. The citizens in the village of Sauk Village, our municipal side, needs to do something about our water because you can't do it. You don't have the money to do it. And we don't want to pay 2 times to do it. Because if you're going to do a part of it here and then we got to do it over there, we're paying twice. And we already paying 2 or 3 times for water. So I really hope that this board will take this back, relook at it. I don't know what your time frame is because no one has mentioned time frame here today. I only know about the few things I skimmed. I did try to go to your website. There wasn't much on there at all today, so I can be more informed about what I was coming to speak about. But I am very well informed about being a citizen and not wanting to pay $9 million. I think you can reprioritize some things. I love that you had some shovel-ready projects that you could apply for the law and that you were able to be one of the groups that can get some money. But I think you can look at what we have and what you're proposing to do. Because really, we don't have the money. You already know that because you can look at what your lunch and your federal guidelines are for your lunch. We have more people now on federal aid in this school district than ever before. You're receiving funds from the state than we ever had to. And we all know that the governor has not signed a contract, so ain't nobody getting paid. So yes, you want to keep some of your money, but I think you have lost your opportunity to sit at the table to reprocess what you want to do with these kind of funds, and I'm hoping that you do not take the $9 million. Because really, you have some very good minds and some very good board members sitting here at this table that can rethink this whole process. And you ought to use some of that $15 million that you guys have been such a good steward over to use it to get the bestest out of the schools. And then go back and propose the kind of money that you would need in order to make such a beautiful playground and fix whatever's wrong in Rickover that our school has dilapidated, and I don't understand why. Because you've had money for years to keep it up. So again, I would encourage this board to not take $9 million at this point, because we the citizens of Sauk Village truly cannot afford to pay it in no kind of way. And again, I'm Francine Anderson.
Anyone else for the general public?
Mr. President, I'm sorry. Can I have one other comment?
Sure.
And with this board reconsidering having another public meeting so that the other public can really kind of consider what you're asking. If it's within your time frame.
Well, I was proposing that we have another one.
We also have one written statement that came from Datron Williams, who's a photojournalist for the Southland, I guess, Southland Voice. Okay, and I'll read it for him. To the Board of Education of Community Consolidated Schools District 168. Good evening. I know you usually see me in my capacity as a journalist. However, today I come to you as a citizen and a resident. Attached to these 2 pages is a letter with my comments about the proposed $9 million bond sales, the notice below. And it reads, the notice of the public hearing concerning the intent of the Board of Education, Community Consolidated Schools District number 168, Cook County, Illinois, to sell the $9 million general bonds obligation, alternate revenue source. And it states what we had given as far as the public notice is concerned. Public notice is hereby given at the Community Consolidated Schools District number 168, Cook County, Illinois. The district will hold a public hearing on the 18th day of April 2016 at 6:30 p.m. The hearing will be held in the District Administrative Building, 21899 Torrance Avenue, Sauk Village, Illinois. The purpose of the hearing will be to receive the public comments on the proposal to sell bonds of the district in the amount of $9 million. So this is the letter that it was written to the Board of Education. And this will also be entered into the public record, so you guys can have this at, as far as you know. So the minutes for the this hearing, this whole entire packet will be attached to it, so you can have for your public record. Yes, Ms.
Since it's a public meeting, you're not going to read his public comment?
He asked for it to be in public record.
He just asked for it to be in public. He just asked for it to be in public record. Not
So how do you enter it in public record without reading it?
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just asking.
Well, what happens when you ask for something in public record is it gets attached to all the minutes from the hearing. So all the hearing minutes which will have, he didn't ask anybody to read it for him, I guess. He just dropped it off and went in public record.
So how do you enter it if it's not read? And all of your legal minutes have to be verbally read
You know what?
or recorded.
This is not closed session. It has to be,
No, I'll read it.
it has to be open.
Okay. Okay. The purpose of the hearing will be to receive the public comments on the proposal to sell bonds in the district in the amount of $9 million for the purpose of improving the sites and altering, repairing, and equipping school buildings facilities by the order of the President of the Board of Education of Community Consolidated School District 168, Cook County, Illinois, dated the 21st day of March 2016. Unfortunately, I will be in society.
Go to the letter. The letter's right after that.
This one, right? Or is it this one?
Yeah, there you go. Those last two pages.
This?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the letter.
Okay. All right, to the Board of Education of Community Consolidated Schools District 168. I composed this letter in response to the proposed sale of $9 million of qualified school construction bonds for the purpose of improving the sites of and altering, repairing, and equipping the school buildings and facilities. This letter is to express my vehement opposition to this proposal and to inform you of consequences that may have been examined. Sauk Village's financial stability. First, the financial condition of the Village of Sauk Village and its citizens does not warrant the acquisition of an additional $9 million debt obligation. The unpredictability of the local economy and devastated housing market still recovering from the unethical home lending practices of the previous decade, signing the community into another on us is undue and fiscally inappropriate. There are no signs of economic progress likely to occur within this area. The municipality has said that they will face another year of budget cuts this next fiscal year. No business or organizations have claimed that they will be making substantial investments within the community to provide additional tax revenue or create jobs for residents. And as of April 12th, to further illuminate the dismal state of the community, 427 homes still remain vacant in Sauk Village. Where is the place for a $9 million debt? District 168 remains the only local government entity to have a surplus in their budget and not be in any great financial hardship. Why must this financial stronghold be threatened? Can we not afford to pay for the improvements with monies already in our coffers? Two-tier tax on Sauk Village residents. Second, the free or interest-free bonds financed by the federal government is actually a two-tier tax on the citizens of Sauk Village and District 168. The last estimation of the balance of the district's account was approximately $15 million. The bonds would total $9 million, and the interest would be deferred by the federal government. The bonds being issued interest-free because of the federal grant seems reasonable for the perspective to the district. However, what this amounts to for the taxpayers of Sauk Village and District 168 is being taxed at two different levels. The first tax is obvious, the amount of the debt owed to the bondholders, again, $9 million. The second tax comes from the federal grant. Although the grant pays the interest of the bonds still accumulate interest. And who funds the federal government? I need to expound more. Our wonderful federal grant is not so glamorous anymore. Side note, assuming the bondholders is a banking institution, the federal government and the citizens of Sauk Village will be funding the same institutions that devastated our local economy, i.e. the 2008 housing bubble. Why must the Sauk Village taxpayers be subjected once more to another financial stranglehold? This $9 million gift is a luxury we cannot afford. It is not absolutely necessary to the functioning of the district and the education of our students. Let our school districts use the money to their own peril. Do not give energy to an approaching foe. The precautionary frailty of charter schools. Finally, the most concerning item is the strategic positioning of the district will be in with the charter school revolution edging closer and closer to home. Our Governor Bruce Rauner, earlier this year proposed an education budget that would have funded charter schools and categorically eliminated funding for special education. Although this budget is no longer on the table, I hope we recognize the signal being sent by the state's chief executive. Public education in the traditional sense is under attack. I am a graduated public. I'm a graduate of public education. I am a graduate of all 3 campuses of District 168. I'm a college graduate, and I intend to further my education with a law degree. Many of my classmates from District 168 are college graduates and will be attending graduate school like myself. Public education has allowed us to reach this point. Having said that, I do not posit that charter schools are a deterrent or hazard to communities. However, I do find issue with charter schools attempting to displace a system that is fulfilling its mission of educating their student body and creating intelligent citizens. What is the rebuttal to a pro-charter school representative who sees a school district who decided to issue bonds inside an indigent community? What do you say? How do you rationalize your decision? How would you communicate to the residents that the charter school would not be better than a public school? I struggle to see your argument, and I am sure the public would be unable to as well. In conclusion, I stand firmly against the proposed $9 million bond sale and any other debt obligation that can be funded by current funds, and is not absolutely vital to the functioning of the schools, health to the students, or advancements of the curriculum. Let us, as Vice President Margaret Campbell suggested, seek a prioritize pending repairs like the removal of the asbestos under the carpeting, but let us do so with monies already available. Let us improve the watering system inside the schools. Let us add on a new wing to Rickover. Let us repair the track so we are able to host meets. Let us construct new playgrounds for Wagner Schools, Strasburg. Let us renovate and collaborate into a learning resource. But let us do so this smart way by counting every penny and making sure there's not one we have to pay back over 2 decades. Your fiscal responsibility precedes you. Continue to be a shining example within the community that struggles to see the benefit of government institutions and the virtue of public governance. John Williams. And that is the letter, and it will go into public record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
All right, that being said, all persons desiring to be heard have been given the opportunity to present oral and written testimony with respect to the proposed issuance of the bonds. Now, I would like to render a motion to
President, I'm still waiting.
Oh.
Dr. Lee made
Oh,
a
yes,
recommendation
go ahead.
that she wanted to do, and I wanted to just ask if it's possible. Dr. Lee mentioned putting the ESG, putting information on our district website. That information only entails the 5 priority list that's currently listed. And just for a little bit more understanding and clarity to the community, I was wondering if, we need to find another word than the bucket list, but is it possible to list, like, for example, a wish list? The wish list be added as, for example, that way if something changes in it while we're planning, this is what we're wishing right now, but it may, change. So like, for example, so that people can see that we're not just asking for 9 mil for these 5 areas. We do have a wish list of things going on. I'm just wondering if we could add that word, that sentence on there somehow.
Okay, we can probably make some adjustments to how it's presented
Okay.
to the general public.
Do you see what I'm
I
saying?
just wanted to post right away what we already have so people can see, because I hear people saying we want to see something. So ESG we can add, but it'd be great if tomorrow we could just post that
That like
PowerPoint
that.
right out the gate so people can see it, and then we could add other pieces. But at least that way we're answering the community saying we want to see. We want to see something. So we can add that to it.
Thank you.
Mr. President, please, I just want to propose that we do this public hearing again. Because, number one, as stated by one of the members of the community, that it was not properly publicized. Because when you publicizing something, it has to be in the form of what's the most popular media that people see. Just like the magazine we sent out. It was a media. I think that was done purposely. And the young lady also asked, when is this project going to start? In the paper that I have, it's supposed to start June 6th. So I don't want to repeat what everybody else has said, I hope that the rest of the members will be able to afford me the public hearing again next month. And in fact, I'm just hearing about the asbestos just today. I don't know that we have the asbestos problem. We're not supposed to have asbestos problem. We have money, 15 million. Tomorrow, we should get the people that's going to take care of that right away. Because kids get sick. So that's what I want us to consider tonight. Another hearing next month.
Well, in the general meeting, we can propose those, discuss those things. But
Okay.
you know, this is a public hearing.
Okay, sir.
Okay, at this moment, if there are no more comments, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the special hearing for the $9 million bond.
So moved.
Second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Calvert,
Yes.
Mrs. Davenport,
Yes.
Mrs. Green, Ms. Howard, yes. Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes?
Mr. Gazil.
Yes, motion carries. The time is now 7:27. At this time, I would like to call to order the school board meeting, the regular school board meeting for District 16, for Community Consolidated School District 168 at 7:27. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Calvert,
Present.
Mrs. Davenport,
Present.
Mrs. Green, Ms. Howard, present. Mrs. Jones,
Present.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Present.
Mr. Gazil.
Present. Thank you. Now I'd like to open up for school board comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I only had two things. One, it was brought out that a lot of people we didn't publicize well. A lot of people didn't know about our hearing that we held. And I know that we've had a board member to request that we have another one. If the board goes forward with that, I'd like to request maybe possibly doing a phone blast or have the village clerk of the village do an email blast. They have an email blast, and that would help citizens who do not have, are not on our phone blast list to be able to have access to the information if that's something you all are looking to go forward with. And then my second comment is we had one of our village, the neighborhood watch committee utilized our Rickover gym this past Friday. It was awesome. We had a live play there. In the midst of the live play, when I knew it was going on, and I went to the Black History program at Strasburg. They started a new group, a Champs dance group, and they were awesome. So I was excited, and so I sent the recommendation, can they please become part of the play? Our students represented us well on Friday. They did an awesome job in Strasburg. Yes, Ms. Thompson's building, Strasburg, and I'm saying all of that to say outside of them being so awesome, I'm like the #1 fan of this new dance group. I don't want to see our arts seem to start and drop off, and I would hate for it to leave those students that are so into it to leave Strasburg and go to Rickover, and then it drops off again. So I know that at some point if we can look at finding a way to keep the arts going in our district. And because they did so well, I was addressed, and then getting to my point, I was addressed by Trustee Ed Myers, and he asked me if the dance troupe could please perform and be a part of the 4th of July, the Sauk Village's 4th of July parade program that they do when they do the parade and the show and everything. So I'm putting that message out. I don't know who handles that. I don't know how it works. Dr. League or whoever, I don't know. But Mr. Ed Myers, I know as a district, we do go. And they would be supervised, because I know that was a concern in the past, that the supervision of these children, they need parents, but in this case, they would be supervised because they would be with their dance instructor. That would actually be there with them. So I don't know how it will work. I'm just making sure I get the message out. Thank you.
Any other comments? Jones?
I would like to ask the board and request from the superintendent that during registration this year, Girl Scouts is coming back to Sauk Village, and I would like to host the table at our registration. if I could get those dates and kind of have a table in a corner somewhere where we could, see if we can get our young ladies back in Girl Scouts.
You don't have to be in the club.
We'll just have to look, because you know we're doing online registration, so we haven't been doing, we weren't planning those 3 days. We'll have to look maybe at a activity fair or something.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a look at, yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sauk?
Thank you, Mr. Bazil. As we all know, board members, we've had our fights on and off for the last 2 years. Especially in 2014, this board was divided when we were looking for a superintendent. 3 of us, we had 2 finalists, and Dr. Liko was one of them. 3 of us wanted Dr. Liko, the other 3 wanted somebody else. I can't remember that gentleman's name. But I had a vision that we haven't had a woman superintendent in this district for a very long time. I wanted to work with Dr. Lee. I fought for her. I put pressure on Mary Howard. She was the tiebreaker at that time. She was like, oh, I don't know her, I cannot. She almost went with Mrs. Davenport. And I was at that time very proud. You said, comment.
Yeah, but there are certain things,
What, did you write down what we can talk about? We have the district lawyer here, he can intervene and let you know whether I can talk about anything I want or not. This is comment. It is not.
Right, okay.
Okay.
That's good.
So to get down to the bottom line, like right now, I'm not happy with what's going on in this district. And I am going to present to you my case in closed section. For the record, I want Dr. Donalik to resign from district
we
168.
cannot talk about,
That's why I told you, I want to talk about this in closed section, because this cannot be a secret.
we cannot make those type of statements in open public. We cannot.
Well, it's already said, it's out there. So I present my case to you in closed session. All of this, I'm ready.
Thank you, Mr. Saul.
All right.
Ms. Howard?
I said this at the last meeting and I'll repeat myself again. I do not want anyone speaking for me or on behalf of me. And I would appreciate if you didn't do that again, Mr. Casali.
I wasn't speaking for you, I just mentioned your
Thank
name,
you.
asking
And
what
then,
happened at that time. I wasn't speaking for you. What am I speaking for
Board
you for?
members,
You can
direct
talk.
your questions or comments to the board, to the facilitator.
That is correct.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 items that I would like to bring to our attention. The first, at the last meeting, and I think a time or 2 before that, I mentioned the desire for board training where self-evaluation is entertained. I was told that's our goal.
It's
So,
fine.
and I would like to know, where are we with communicating with the Illinois Association of School Boards so that they can come in and conduct self-evaluation for us during a retreat?
We tried to get a retreat previously, as you remember, and we never could agree on a date at that time. Also, we were not in a state where if we had a retreat, that it would be beneficial to the board. I thought, coming from this last conference, that we were in a better place. And I was really planning on reintroducing us.
Can you speak up, please?
I came back from the conference thinking that we were in a better place because there was some healing done at our conference that we went to recently, and that we would benefit from having a retreat. I do not want to spend the taxpayers' money when it wouldn't be beneficial. If we are going to go on a retreat, the retreats are made for people to be open, honest, and receptive to comments and suggestions that are made. I did not think that in the past year that we were in a place where everyone would be receptive to it or would participate in it. So I didn't want to waste the money. I'm hoping that we're still in that place. I see some things resurging itself. But I would like to revisit it, and I would like for us to go to a retreat where we can do a self-evaluation, an honest and open self-evaluation, and take away from it some benefits, some suggestions, some strategies to better improve our conduct, our way of governance for the district. I'm not saying that we should agree on everything, but there's a way of going about it. We might not like certain things that are going on, and I don't mind you presenting it, but there's a way to go about those things. And I'm not saying everybody's as articulate as others or has the same mannerisms as others or passion as others, but there's still a certain amount of respect that we have to uphold when we are presenting ourselves here at the board. Time and time again, I've said, I don't mind you making your comments. Be respectful when you do it. I respect everybody's opinion here, but be respectful to everybody at this table, be respectful to our audience and our children that we're actually trying to lead and set an example for. That's what I expect. So hopefully we're still in that place and that we can probably go forward and do a retreat sometime soon. But I really do need to make sure that the board is actually ready for something like that.
Thank you. I look forward to us moving forward when appropriate. The other thing that I would like to discuss, about 10 months ago, when we first came on, we were looking at modes of communication and utilizing technology to a greater extent as we go about providing service, doing the work of the school board on behalf of our students. And we explored a system called board docs, opposed to an antiquated system that we have at this point. I would like to bring back to the table consideration for board docs, as at that point in time, we stated that we would revisit it, so I'm back on it.
You just stole my thunder. Appreciate it.
Did I?
Yes, you did. That's fine. Ms. Davenport?
Mr. President, you had mentioned, thank you, honoring me. You had mentioned the board evaluation when we do our retreat. And originally, again, we had talked about last year, we didn't get, we wanted Patrick, okay, Dr. Patrick. But with it being so early in the year, now that if the board is in favor of going ahead and going forth with a retreat, we had already put our little slide in, our time period of October of being that date, but it was so close. So with it being so early, we may possibly be able to get that October date. And then that gives the board a chance to look around also and see about dates sooner than later. I just like to give that recommendation.
You guys had the second weekend of
September. Okay.
It was like the 12th and 13th. Yeah,
Yes,
second
a week
weekend.
earlier. So if we can, if the board is in agreement, even tonight, the sooner the better. If the board is in agreement, that would give Dr. Leek a chance to put that notice out there to Perry and Patrick to see where their schedules are before they fill up those dates and the date that the board has chosen to like. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
We can reach out and ask them for dates.
Yeah.
If September is the time, or if you want over the summer.
Okay.
What we usually do is we ask them to send us all the dates they have available, and then we start sending them to you all to see what works.
The question I would like to ask is everybody willing to participate?
I'll go. I'll participate. So Sally,
I would participate.
will you this time?
How about what?
We're talking about
The board retreat.
Self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation board.
and we get to talk about how we feel and express it. kindly, and then we come up with ideas how to resolve.
No, I would think about it.
Okay, that's good, that's good.
Yes, Mr.
Well, just a comment, if we're gonna hold this off until September, we have election in April,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I don't know how much good it would do this board. I mean, I don't know, maybe all four will be back, maybe they won't.
No, that's,
So
that's.
I don't know that we should wait until September, that maybe it's something that we need to do like yesterday, if we're gonna do it with this particular board.
I would like to do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
However, I don't, we don't have this screen here, as well. However, I would like to do it sooner. I would hope that we can get dates soon.
Whatever next after we
We'll get dates from them. We'll just ask them right now what dates they have available starting in June after school lets out.
And then just go from there.
And we can go from there.
That sounds good. Okay, all right. I did go to a seminar concerning Word docs, and that is something I would like to revisit, but I still want to see other products that are out there, not just Word docs, so we can have a gauge of different other, solutions. Word docs is a very public, informative application. We saw it at Boston, and I really did love the presentation. However, I do not know what who their competitors are and what they are willing to offer and their costs. So if we could find something, because situations such as this, the public hearing, it would be open for the general public to actually view it on the website. They would have access to all of our minutes and all of our documentations and the things that we do here at the board, whether they were here at the meeting or not. So I think that is a good tool for us. So I'm definitely in favor of revisiting that if the board is willing to go in that direction.
Thank you.
Next is item B. Oh, I'm sorry.
One more, I know, I'm full of stuff tonight. So, just so that the board knows, I've had a conversation with Dr. Lee about our field trips. And this past week, our 7th graders did a field trip to Springfield. And it kind of raised some concern for me that we had one bus going. And I've had a daughter come up through, and I know that that is not the norm, or wasn't the norm. And it raised concern for me, mostly because I think it may be the cost of the trip, that some students, or a lot of students weren't able. And I know that the letter that's sent out mentioned, that there was criteria about behavior, and what the behavior needed to be in order to participate. So I did raise the question to Dr. Lee, and she said that she would kind of look into it. So just so that the board knows, I did raise questions. She's looking into it.
Any other comments?
Pretty much the same thing if it's a 6th, 7th grade trip, the one coach bus that doesn't holds what, 52 to 60 people, and I know we have more 7th graders than that. It would have been nice to have seen more, because when I read the letter that came out to parents stating, why a student wouldn't go, it stated regarding behavior, and that raised the question, well then is it that much behavior challenges with the 7th graders that only that one bus went? Or was there another issue, or was it the finances? So it just brought up a little question mark, even though I thought it was a great idea. I'd love to see, did you mention UGC?
No.
They did, okay, I'll let you know. Then that's all.
Okay, well, just for the record, I do both trips, the DC and Springfield trip for my school as well. And we do, almost every school counts behavior. And the reason that we count behavior so highly is they're not in the safety of our schools. They're out in the general public. And although there are chaperones, 1 to 10 ratio is the maximum required, you really do not have time to deal with much discipline. you're looking out for the safety of the students and the general public at large. You need to have your students in check, and those who conduct themselves appropriately in those environments are those that should be allowed to go. Anyone that would be of a high risk should not be allowed to go. In years past, schools have experienced situations at the airports where kids tried to bring things through security. Kids had to be sent back home from DC on a plane home. So that's why behavior is always considered as a top priority for kids going anywhere off campus. And on campus is one thing, or locally is one thing, but when you're going outside the city, that's a huge, huge factor. Other schools do take into consideration GPA as well, to reward those who. Those trips are not educational trips; they're luxury. They're benefits of being part of the school, rewards. So as far as your conduct, your GPA, those things are rewarded by those type of trips. And you haven't earned it.
And I absolutely understand and agree with that. My main issue is making sure that, because I know when my daughter was here, the district paid for that trip. And so, of course, more probably attended. So if it is an issue that a family couldn't pay, then I would really hope that the district could kind of find a way that we could somehow fundraise, whatever, so that they get to reap that benefit. If I have good grades, good behavior, and I can't go because of the cost, that's not a full 7th grade experience to me, and I've earned that experience.
Any other questions?
Well, Mr. Brazil, well, my comment is not about the field trip or anything like that. I just want to rebut your statement about resorting itself and have some mannerism and all that. I take offense to that because I have freedom of speech. That is one of the freedoms that I have to express myself every which way I know, without being rude to anyone. So, without knowing where I'm coming from, I'm going to hold on to all that I have to say at closed session. Okay?
Thank you. All right, next is item B, correspondence. Madam Secretary.
I don't have any correspondence.
I have correspondence. All right.
You got correspondence to read?
That's ours.
No, she has something she wants to read. Mr. President,
You give it to her.
you're supposed to be here early.
Then we read it.
Mrs. Howard? Correspondence. Yeah. Thank you. Mrs. Howard? You have correspondence here. Mr. President, excuse me, we do have correspondence.
Oh, we didn't?
Yes.
Oh,
We did.
Dear Dr. Leak and school board members of 168, greetings to you, and I hope this letter finds you in good health. I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank you. On behalf of the Sauk Village Neighborhood Watch Committee, we appreciate your cooperation in allowing us to use Rickover Junior High School on April 15, 2016 for our live play entitled Are You My Neighbor? The program was a huge success with parents, residents, and cast. We raised approximately $1,300. I especially want to thank Mr. Johnson, the principal, George, the custodian, and the principals from Wagner and Strasburg for their help to push the event. A big kudos to Ms. Beavers of Strasburg School and her fabulous champ dance troupe. All of our artists were treated professionally with learning to operate the sound system. Our special celebrity artist, Willie the Entertainer, was overwhelmingly received by the youth. He is a living example of you can fulfill your dreams. He said Rickover Junior High School was one of his favorite places he has performed, and he has traveled a lot and constantly expanding his horizons, including Hollywood and New York. Everything went very well, and your hospitality to School District 168 was evident. We appreciate your acts of kindness greatly. This play will be talked about as being one of the most positive programs we have had for our youth of South Village. This is really what it's all about in the end, the children. We have a great start to fulfilling our desire to provide 500 book bags with supplies for our youth. We are currently accepting donations towards that goal from any and all businesses. If you would like, as a district or individually, or know of any not-for-profit organizations that would like to make a donation, please do not hesitate to inform me. We are collecting donations and they can be dropped off at the Village Hall. Again, thank you, and I salute you all collectively and individually for making April 15th, 2016 a night to remember by all who attended. Residents were dancing off happy out the doors, and yes, I am your neighbor. Yours for the children, Linda Washington House.
Thank all of you.
I would like to make a request that we go into closed sessions because we have our attorneys here. So I make a motion to go into closed session for, to move to item 19. I will make, I'll make a motion. I would like to go into closed session to personnel. I move that we go into closed session for the business of personnel, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee of the district, including the hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. B, discussion of minutes of the meeting lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act, whether for the purposes of recording by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mrs. Campbell-Fruit,
Yes.
Mrs. Davenport,
Yes.
Mrs. Green, Ms. Howard, yes. Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Casale,
Yes?
Mr. Gazette.
Yes, motion carries at 7:53.
Come back out. Come back out and finish. That way we can get him in.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we ready to the public? What are we talking about? That doesn't make sense. Everything you said, one by and before you get here, I asked for
He said it though.
yeah, I think you got it.
He said it.
Y'all stop drinking some little water.